please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Very good morning. Welcome to Chartbusters, the show where we will highlight a lot of buzzing stocks. We'll get you a couple of managements as well, and we'll tell you how to trade the Nifty. As we speak, the Nifty is under some pressure. We're getting economic data as well that's coming in there. The India August Nikkei Services PMI number, that's seen a bit of a contraction on a month-on-month basis. So not very good news in terms of that data point. We'll have to find the reason why exactly there was. It's quite a big contraction actually on a month-on-month basis. Mangalam, the markets are struggling to hold on to that 11,500 odd mark. There is selling pressure. On every bounce, you're seeing some kind of selling. I think after the kind of cut we have seen in the last couple of trading sessions, I wonder if, after another 20 points or so, whether the Nifty will see a bit of recovery from there. Time will tell. We'll know today.
Absolutely, time will tell. But the other one point is the fact that we're around that 11,500 mark. If you remember last series, 11,500 call for the largest part of the series had the maximum open interest. That was a bit of a resistance. Once we crossed that, can there be some support at the 11,500 mark? So that is something we will be watching out for. And as we speak, 11,500 put has the maximum open interest for this series. So we saw a lot of writing at 11,600 and 11,500 too. Yeah,
the 11,600 put had the highest open interest. So, and the premium there was around 100 rupees approximately. So all those put writers, for them the stop loss came in at around 11,500, 11,530 as where they did write that particular put. That's 11,600 put we're talking about. Let's see, 11,500, that should be the crucial mark. The bulls will look to defend that on a closing basis. The bears, they'll be happy if they can crack that particular level as well. As we speak though, I don't think there's no addition actually. There is some unwinding as well out there. So we'll keep an eye out on that one.
You said it, Nigel. So we will keep an eye out on that, but also keep an eye out on the rupee level. So we will talk about that. First up, all the top stories. The rupee, that one continues to be under pressure. Hits a record low at 71.66 per dollar.
And Muthoot Finance surges in trade today. The NBFC reports the highest quarter-on-quarter loan growth in the last 11 quarters, while asset quality improves significantly. The management tells CNBC TV18 that they will start their own mutual fund business in the next 6 months.
All right, BEL, that stock is lower in trade on the back of a large trade. Nearly 10 lakh shares trade in a block on the NSE at about 102.5 rupees per piece.
And SPARC and Sun Pharma, they get a boost. In a conference call, the SPARC management reiterates Halol's plant's status on voluntary action indicated, says that this will help the company pursue drugs in the future. Okay, all right, the markets have moved a tad bit lower, but it's not just the Indian markets today. We're just doing what the other Asian markets are doing. You have the Hang Seng that's down more than 350 points. The last time I checked, the Shanghai market was down 25 points odd. So there was red on the screen. The Hang Seng market, in fact, is down nearly around 2%. So keep an eye out on that market. And if you compare us with the rest of the Asian markets, well, we're doing mostly in line or a tad bit better actually than the Shanghai and the Hang Seng market. We're down around 25, 27 points odd. But does the Nifty have it in itself to see a bit of a bounce from here? Or do you think, in fact, we're going to be sliding down further from here? Ashwini Gujral joins us with his trade on the Nifty. 45 minutes, an hour 40 minutes approximately into the trading session. Ashwini, tell us, what's the trade?
See, for a few days, stop looking for a bounce.
Okay.
Because this is a trending market. This is not your, consolidation, rally, consolidation. That's not what it is. Plus, you have rupee at 71.70. Bond yields are at all-time high. I think if this goes on, Bank Nifty will soon start to see a collapse. We are now trading at 11,490. So, if the momentum of the bond yield and rupee continues, I think second half will not be so good. So for the moment, I would go short on Bank Nifty and remain short. Okay. You are not getting any sort of fancy rallies, 150 point gap up, etc., because the market remains extraordinarily weak. So my sense is that second half you will see a bigger decline and 11,500 will finally go. Having said that, right now, rupee is falling, so chances are there will be some support on Hexaware. This is a buy with a stop of 432, target of 450. IndusInd Bank is a sell with a stop of 1865, target of 1820. And RBL is a sell with a stop of 612, target of 590.
Right. Ashwini, a word on Muthoot Finance. You know, it opened up and now it's only gaining strength. As we speak, it's up about 10%. The loan growth was at an 11-quarter high. They're talking about mutual fund plans going forward. Do you think chartically something has changed? Is it undoing some of the underperformance?
See, this is not quite the time that where you have all kinds of other financial parameters weakening and you get long on financials. Yes, today could be one-off, etc. But the basic trend of financials and the market is lower, and the best trades are in the direction of the market. This one, 375, 380 has been a low. It often fails to cross, 475, 480. So this could be a one-off. I mean, I'm much more comfortable getting short on the rest of the financials or the banks where they will move in a secular fashion. I don't think Muthoot Finance is quite the play for the day.
All right, Ashwini, I want to ask you about Coffee Day, actually. The intraday chart of the stock should come out. We had a deal that took place internationally. That's Costa Coffee on Friday itself. The stock did see a big run in that trading session. Today as well, it's recovered from the low point of the day. How is it looking on the charts? Remember, it's been a big underperformer. From the time it's listed a couple of years back, the stock is still, I think, more than 15% away from the listing price itself. Is it looking good for more, or would you just avoid it? There's better opportunities out there.
This seems to be a typical range-bound type stock. 230 are the lows. Upside maybe 350. If you want to buy today, get with the exporters. I don't think rest of the stocks will show you great follow-through on the upside.
All right, fair point there, Ashwini. Thanks a lot for that. Coffee Day, the IPO around 2.5 years back. And 327 was the price. So let's see where it goes from here. But with that, we shift focus to a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Now, earlier in May this year, the government came out with a draft national telecom policy where they had given a moratorium for debt repayment, but left the spectrum usage charges and license fees unchanged. Our colleague Timsi Jaipuria caught up with the Telecom Secretary Aruna Sundarajan and began by asking her if the government plans to provide relief to the telecom players by lowering these charges. Listen in.
The policy has very clearly stated what will be the key objectives. One, to get universal broadband out to all. And secondly, to create the investments which will ensure that India has a next generation ready telecom network. So in the policy, there are enough pointers which say in what direction the policy will move. Now, once the policy is approved by the cabinet, then there will be various groups which will be sitting down and working out what should be an appropriate policy going forward.
When are you putting the policy forward for a cabinet nod? When can we see?
We expect it to go to cabinet in the next couple of weeks.
NPA is quite high when we talk of telecom sector. It's about 8 lakh crore rupees. Do you think that this telecom sector's huge debt would actually lead to another sector getting into the NPA list after power and the others which we are seeing going through the IBC course?
No, let me draw a distinction, because here let's remember that we have a huge telecom market. We have only touched about 30% of it with internet broadband, for example. So we have another 60% of growth and unmet needs going forward. So the long-term fundamentals are very robust. So once this current period of consolidation and stabilization is over, definitely the industry will come back to health, which is why we do not foresee any problems on the NPA front.
My last question, we are yet to see 5G auctions. Will it be similar to the process that was adopted for 3G and 4G? And if not, then what is government thinking, how best to auction 5G?
See, 5G, we are a little time away from the ecosystem being fully developed. I believe that the auctions will actually be most optimal when the players also have an idea of what is the ecosystem looking like. So I think it's a few months away yet.
Remember, this is September 5, Teachers' Day. We here at CNBC TV18 are celebrating Teachers' Day. On that note, let's get in Mr. Ganesh Gala, the MD of Navneet Education, who joins us on the phone line. First up, thanks a lot, Mr. Gala, for joining in, and have to congratulate you on Teachers' Day, because growing up, I think Nigel and me, we used a lot of Navneet workbooks to get past our exams. And Nigel, his wife's name is Navneet as well. So
Navneet's very special to me. Yeah. Let's get on.
Good morning and happy Teachers' Day, not only to my academic teachers, but I would say all teachers who have contributed in my life.
All right.
Absolutely. You know, Mr. Gala, sir, we were just talking about it. We would have used your books in our lives. So thank you so much for that as well. And all the best, and hoping that, you educate many more. But it's the stock market's on, so we'll have to know a couple of financial details from you. So let's kick off then.
Yeah, let's kick off. And in fact, I mean, before we get to the numbers, is there anything specific that you guys, in terms of marketing or sales, try for Teachers' Day? Does that day be big in terms of revenue for you?
No. So normally on Teachers' Day in particular, we of course wish them, but every year we facilitate various teachers who have excelled in their every year they have a program. We have a program where we facilitate many teachers and give our wishes to all of them.
Okay, all right. So let's go on with the syllabus then. Tell us, what's the breakup of printed books as well as notebooks? If you could give us a sense, sir, in terms of revenues or a percentage, what's the breakup on an annual basis? And if you could help us out, is there some margin difference in in some of these printed workbooks and the notebooks?
Yes. So as far as breakup is concerned, every year for last couple of years, our content business, meaning publication, contributes around 55-56%, and the balance is from stationery. And that percentage would continue, though this year exports of stationery has grown substantially, but simultaneously we are hoping to have...
Mr. Gala, so we're trying to understand, the revenue breakup of the printed workbooks and the notebooks. If you could break that up for us, the stationery and the other books, we do have the breakup of 55 to around 45% or thereabouts. Okay. But if you could specifically tell us about these two numbers, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so it is printed workbooks, and the other products are digest and other products. So the workbook contributes 45% of our total publication revenue.
Okay.
And balance is the other books, including digest, or we call it guides.
And is there a margin difference, sir? In your
no.
Same margins.
No. In all the publication business, which includes workbooks, the margins are the same.
Okay. And you recognize the notebooks, which are non-printed, non-content printed notebooks. They're all a part of the stationery business, is it?
That's right.
Okay, and no other stationery that you have on your books? No pens, pencils, or anything of that sort?
We have very small, around 2% of our total revenue comes from non-paper stationery. Okay. And that, of course, we do not manufacture ourselves. We outsource under our brand and market it, but there are no plans to grow that business. And our plans are only to grow paper-based stationery.
All right. Mr. Gala, sir, we need to take note of the rupee. The Indian rupee now has moved to around 71.75. Just a short while back, it was all on the verge of hitting 71.8. So people are quite worried. But you said that exports are picking up, right? As a percentage of your revenues, how much are exports? If you could give us a sense on an annual basis. And will you gain a bit? Or have you already booked this currency at a particular rate?
So for the current year, our exports revenue of the total would be around 30%. We are not likely to gain because of this rupee appreciation in the current year, because as a policy, we always hedge our currency as and when we receive the orders. But for the future, we are very confident. We feel that we will be benefited from this.
Mr. Gala, we've been speaking to a lot of the paper companies over the past, and if we take a look at the paper stocks, they've been surging over the last month or two. They tell us that, paper prices have increased, the demand for paper has increased, and because of which the prices are higher. Are you facing that from your paper suppliers? And do you expect paper prices to go further higher from here?
Yes, it does impact us, and the impact is, of course, passed on to the end consumers, which we normally do not like, to increase the price of a product just because of input cost. But we have no choice. We will have to accept, and I believe, as what we understand scenario in the paper industry, it is not just only the demand going up. There are many international factors which has contributed to the rise of these paper prices.
Right.
So finally, I believe next 6 odd months, we still feel the paper prices will continue.
Mr. Gala, we're trying to understand whether or not it will put some pressure on your margins. We are aware prices are moving higher, pulp prices are moving higher as well. Does it impact your margins, sir?
No, so for that only I just mentioned that
you
we
can
normally
pass it on
to the end consumers.
Excellent. All right. Final question, sir. How much is your cash and investments that you have in your books?
So as of now, we have around 100 crores with us, cash with us. This normally in September we are always debt free. Debt that we take only for working capital, even that is been paid off.
Okay.
So we have around 100 crores, and
we have a buyback that's ongoing.
Yes.
So post buyback, there'll be 25 crores worth cash in your books, is it?
Sorry.
Post the buyback, there will be 25 crores of cash on your books, right?
Yeah, no, why I'm saying is that this is the period where we receive all our receivables by September. So we may receive more than 100 crores in the month of September itself.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Mr. Gala, for joining in. The stock that's under some pressure. We have the management that's joining in currently to tell us what's going on on that front. We have Mr. Gautama, who joins us currently. Hi, sir. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, your stock is under big pressure. There is some change in terms of pricing, isn't it? So could you clarify on the pricing first, and what kind of impact can it have on your margins? There's a rumor that in fact it could be margin dilutive to the tune of 300-400 basis points. Clarify on both those 2 points. Go ahead, sir.
I would like to clarify to you and assure the market that I don't know why this rumor is getting circulated all of a sudden.
Okay.
The government of India Ministry of Defence has noticed that the DPSUs under Ministry of Defence were having different pricing policies among them, and there is no uniform pricing policy. So I was explaining to the viewers earlier also, whenever questions were put to me regarding the Akash 7 Squadron contract, the delays in that and etc. So the government under the chairmanship of Secretary Defence Production has initiated almost a year back an exercise of rationalizing the pricing policies of all DPSUs.
Okay.
So today, different DPSUs, the shipyards have got their own pricing policy.
Yes.
HAL has got their own pricing policy. BEL has got their own. BEL has got their own, like that. So now, under the chairmanship of Secretary DP, they analyzed different pricing policies, and they tried to bring a rationality among all the
Mr. Gautama, we understand
guidelines.
We understand the need for a uniform pricing policy, etc.
Guidelines are like this. There's no worry as far as Bharat Electronics is concerned.
Okay.
Earlier we were getting a profitability figure of 10 to 12%.
Okay.
All right.
On the cost. And not all risks and overheads included in some of the cases at the time. And we were not getting profitability on buyer-nominated equipment also in that. For example, if I am building a system on a vehicle which buyer is supplying to me, a tank which buyer is supplying to me, we were not allowed to put any profitability on the buyer-nominated equipment earlier.
So, Mr. Gautama, sir, you said that earlier your margins were 10 to 12%, correct?
Yes.
After this rationalizing of pricing that you were talking about, will it change your margins? Will you be able to maintain these margins?
For the spares and services, there is no change. 10% profitability is allowed.
Okay.
For the main equipment, earlier we were charging only on the value addition, the profitability, but not on the buyer-nominated equipment, buyer-furnished equipment.
Okay.
But now, a uniform 7.5% for the complete is allowed. So they have rationalized that removing some of the items, the entire items can be considered, and it is at 7.5% now.
So that will be a contraction then?
It is not contraction. You see, earlier some items we were not getting profitability at all, but now those items are also included.
So net, you are saying there would be no change on your margins?
So net, I expect from Bharat Electronics there will not be any change. And one more important factor is that this is applicable only for the programs where the MOD is nominating DPSU.
So what are you saying? You said 10 to 12% is what you had earlier, and now it'll be 10% on some products and 7.5% on some.
7.5%, where earlier some of the items were excluded, now all the items are included.
So net, what is the margin band that you're working with?
I am confident that net we will be 10% plus.
10%
plus.
So
okay.
you're saying this entire pricing policy has no change whatsoever in terms of the profitability. That's the message you're trying to send out to the market.
I'm going to assure market that the profitability will not have any drastic change as far as Bharat Electronics is concerned with the revised guidelines.
All right, that's as far as the profit.
One more account I would like to tell.
Go ahead, sir.
This policy is applicable only for the cases where DPSUs are nominated. For example, Akash missile system, we are nominated production partner.
Right, and
for this pricing policy is applicable only there. Today, 40% of Bharat Electronics contracts are on competitive tendering, where the pricing is left to the individual company to decide. The second is, this pricing policy is not applicable retrospective. That means the order book on which we are standing today, it is not applicable for the order book and all the contracts what we have already entered into at this point of time.
So the new contracts, it will be applied on the new contracts.
New contracts.
So, Mr. Gautama, let's talk about the new contracts itself. There were some big contracts you were expecting to come from both Akash as well as LRSAM. You said
LRSAM already we have signed, and hence it is not applicable.
And Akash?
Akash, we are yet to sign.
So it will be applicable there.
And there are no delays there?
Earlier also that the profitability in Akash, they are rationalizing.
So there is no, but are there any delays on that Akash order?
Akash, I am not expecting, we told that we are expecting it towards the Q3.
Okay.
And I expect it that the case is moving forward, and hence we are likely to sign the contract.
Short point, Mr. Gautama, if you could just leave us with a couple of numbers. What is the current order book and what is the revenue growth you can deliver in FY19 and FY20, sir? Rough order book. A rough order book.
I will put like this. Last year we did little over 10,000 crores, and this year I expect a decent growth of about 15% on revenue.
And your margin guidance of 17 to 19% for the company in FY19 stays?
At this point of time, that remains.
Okay, yes, that remains. Fair point. And finally, before we let you go, there was a large trade on your stock this morning, around 17-18 lakh shares traded, changed hands. Anything that you would be aware of, any notable fund?
I'm not aware of. I just now came to know about this incident only through one of your correspondent.
Okay.
I was in a production review meeting here, and I was not aware that there is a bloodbath on share.
Okay,
so I don't know why it happened.
Okay, Mr. Gautama, but is there any any OFS that's likely to take place? Is that a possibility? The
government announced that 5% of BEL stock they are going to offer for sale.
When?
So that is on.
When? That is in the next month, in the coming months, in this fiscal for sure?
It is at the earliest. I expect it in a month's time. I expect it in a
month's time. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair point, Mr. Gautama. Thanks a lot for joining us and giving us all those details. Interesting details. No change as far as the margins are concerned. Revenues as well as margin guidance for this year stays. But OFS in this month itself, that is something we will watch out for.
That'll be overhang.
And the street is still not, seeking comfort in what the management is saying. The stock is still down about 9%.
Once they deliver these numbers, the street will take confidence, Manglam. I think so. Because he's saying that he's maintaining his revenue growth, order book is in line, margins will be maintained. We'll have to see delivery. Only then, I think, because the stock clearly is down 9% approximately. So that's telling you what the street is thinking.
All right.